Okay.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right.
All right. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Hopefully, I'm sure you're all in the right place. This is the online MSW Get Ready to Graduate session for summer. I'm Renee Finnemore. I'm one of your academic advisors. I'm sure you hear from me all the time, and I'll let Adriana introduce herself as well.
I'm Adriana Kelly. I'm your other academic advisor, and some of you have heard from me recently, so you know who I am as well.
So this session today is for any student who's going to be graduating this summer or in the fall. So we're really going to cover all the things you need to know about wrapping up your time here at UCF and getting ready to be a social worker out in the field. So we're going to talk about filing intent to graduate, which is telling UCF, hey, I'm finishing up my program, double check to make sure I've done everything I need to do to award that degree. We'll talk about completing the capstone and what that's all about. How we celebrate your accomplishment, and then some things to think about in terms of like getting ready to find a job, get licensed, requesting transcripts, and like that sort of thing. So we're going to cover a lot of things today. It'll be a good session. Adriana, you want to talk about this?
Yeah. So if you are a summer graduate, you have already filed your intent to graduate. And if you hadn't, we had reached out to you. So we're looking good there for our summer graduates. If you are a fall student who's going to graduate in the fall in December, your intent to graduate form will open up next Monday. So next Monday, you'll get an email from me with basically this information, how to file your intent to graduate. So it opens on June 26th, and you'll fill it out in your MyUCF portal. In the student center, you're going to click that other academic drop-down menu, and you're going to select intent to graduate, apply. And then you're going to go through this. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to fill out this form. They're going to ask you a few questions, some of the ones that you might not know the answer to. Our program is a non-thesis program, so you're going to want to check that option. It's going to ask you to name an academic advisor. You can name either one of us, you can name both of us, totally up to you. And it's going to have you fill out some surveys. There is a senior survey, and there's also one called a major survey. If you see the major survey and you can't complete it, don't worry, it's not for you. You can safely disregard it. Oh, I went by that really fast, but if anybody has any questions and you're graduating in the fall, you will get more information on Monday.
So the capstone is an assessment that our program uses to measure the effectiveness of our curriculum. So this is something that you'll complete before you finish Clinical 3. So it will actually be released and sent to you with a link via email to your it'll be in your Clinical 3 seminar course, one of your field courses. There'll be an announcement in there. It's usually an assignment. And so this is something that you'll just need to do, just like the other surveys and intent to graduate. There's no passing score required to graduate, but you must complete the assessment before graduation. And they do offer like a certificate if you earn a certain percentage, but honestly, I don't know what that is. So pay attention to that information in the email. And like I said, there'll be an assignment within your field course for you to access that. So when it comes time, a lot of times students are like, hey, I'm not seeing that assessment in there. Where will that be? The person to ask is your course instructor.
I also just want to say that I know we get a lot of questions from students who get scared when they see the word capstone, because a lot of times in other programs that means like your final project or your final course. It's not a separate course. It's just this assessment. And like Renee said, there's no passing score required to graduate. You need to do it, but you're still going to graduate no matter what you score on it.
Ooh, now we get to talk about the fun stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we celebrate you as a program and also university celebrations. So the online MSW hosts a virtual graduation celebration each semester for our graduating cohorts. So we hold this session in Zoom. We have faculty come, the head of the School of Social Work, the program director, Adriana and I will be there. Instructors usually attend, like field instructors especially attend. But this is a chance for us to really congratulate you on your achievement and sort of celebrate you. So it is something that's open to your family and friends. So you will be able to share the link with them to join in on that. So you can share it with whomever you want. They don't have to be in your location to participate. And we ask you to create a student spotlight slide that we will include in the event. So basically with this, what we're asking you to do is just create a single PowerPoint slide with your name, however you want it to appear. So if you want it to be your formal name or your nickname, whatever you go by, that's totally fine. Include where you live, where your career goals are. So maybe you know where your job is going to be, you can list that. Or if you don't have a job identified yet, but like a population or a setting you want to work in, you can include that. A lot of students include like a little message to their family and friends or their favorite quote. Those are also fine. Be sure to include a picture of you too, so that we can, kind of put a face with the name, which is very fun for us. So, and there's no formatting requirement with this. So it's your chance to really personalize this and make it all about you. So you can use whatever colors and fonts you want. You can use whatever pictures you like, obviously, internet appropriate, but but anything, can be pictures of just you, can be pictures of you with your family, your pets, whatever you would really like to do. So if you're graduating this summer, please submit that slide to me by August 12th. And if you're graduating in the fall, you need to submit it to me by December 8th. So you've got a few weeks still for the summer grads, and for fall students, you're going to get a reminder again in the fall, so don't worry. And then I think we have, here, some samples of ones that students have done in the past to give you an idea of the different things that people have done to kind of celebrate and create their slides. So really, it's entirely up to you.
Okay, so commencement info, you probably are very excited to graduate. This website is the one that contains all the information, and unfortunately, they often post here before we know anything. So this is the best place to go check out what the date and time of the graduation will be, how to get your cap and gown, any questions about tickets, that kind of thing. So commit that website to memory. So for summer 2023 commencement, our date is going to be Saturday, August 5th at 3 p.m. This is the in-person ceremony, not the virtual ceremony that Renee has mentioned. We're going to come up with a date for that soon. Here you have to wear your cap and gown. At the virtual one, you don't need to do anything like that. But the cap and gown is ordered through Herff Jones, and you'll find all the information for ordering that on that website previously. We'll make sure that you have a copy of that link so you can go there. It lasts approximately 2 hours. It's limited to 4 or 5 guests. They will let you know how many tickets you're going to get. And sometimes they open up a lottery for extra tickets, but often they don't. So you might have to get with other members of your cohort. If they don't need all of their tickets, you might be able to get some of theirs, but you can't just get tickets from anybody. They also have to order a cap and gown in order to get those tickets. But if you have a lot of guests and you don't have enough tickets, it's also live streamed on campus. You can, it's live streamed on campus, sorry, and then it's available to watch on YouTube on the UCF Facebook. So there's lots of ways to see it, even if you can't be there in person. We don't know the exact date and time yet, but the fall 2023 commencement is going to be either December 15th or 16th. There's no rhyme or reason basically to how they schedule, so I can't say it's usually on Friday at 7, unfortunately. They don't publish that date until about a month and a half before, so just plan for 15th to 16th. It's one of those days. I think we have a question in the chat. I don't know if it's related to this.
It was just me mentioning the the ticket, the university events who's planning this will be updating the final ticket allotment for students on June 30th. So if you go back to that website, it will tell you. Right now it's stating that students will receive at least 4. Every once in a while, because summer commencement, there's less students participating. Every once in a while, we see this ticket count bump up to 5. So not so much in the fall or spring semesters, but typically in the summer, we see that go up a little bit. So, so just be sure to check in on that website, you know, in the next week or so, just to see if there's any updates. All right.
Oh, sorry.
So, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So, so this next section, we're just going to kind of transition on to getting ready for life after graduation. So, we're going to talk about connecting with career services, the licensure process, and kind of like connecting with your advisors and your success coach. So career services, you know, career.ucf.edu. It's there's tons of resources here for you. And the very sad thing to say is that once you graduate, you no longer have access to these to these resources. So you can schedule a lot of these things they have in person, but they also offer them online. So you can make an appointment to meet with someone, to have them review your resume, give you tips on how to improve it, and that can be done virtually. They also offer interview skills workshops and practice, as well as networking strategies and virtual networking events. So there's lots of good stuff there. They also post jobs there. So sometimes you'll see some job postings in there as well. So it's a very good resource.
So you might be pursuing licensure after you graduate. Licensure process is different depending on what state you're in. So a good way to find out what the requirements are for your state is to do a Google search with your state and then LCSW, so licensed clinical social worker. Not every state calls it that, so that will lead you probably to your state board website, and then you can see what the different ones are called in your state. Another place to look is the ASWB website for how to get a license. You can also look at your local NASW chapters to see, you know, sometimes those have ways to connect to supervisors and, you know, different things in your community that you can find out. To pursue licensure after graduation, a lot of students want to request their transcripts. So the official transcripts need to be requested through the MyUCF portal and Student Center. You're going to do that academic menu, and then you're going to click on Select Transcript Request Official. There is an option for Hold for Degree. Your degree will not be conferred immediately. And especially if you're graduating in the summer, it's a little bit different. You may have noticed that commencement is the 6th, and then you don't actually finish classes until the 18th. So your degree will be processed a little bit later than other summer graduates, but it'll be backdated to show a degree conferral of the 6th. I wish I could give you an estimate. It takes some time after you finish classes, your final grades are put in. Within a month, your degree should be conferred. In the summer, it's usually faster because, as Renee said, there's not as many graduates. But graduate studies is currently understaffed, and sometimes things are taking a little bit longer. You can check in with us if you have any questions to see if your degree has been conferred. You can also check your MyUCF email or your NITES email and see if you've gotten an email, because you'll be notified once your degree has been conferred. But your final transcript, if you select Hold for Degree, that means that your transcript won't be sent out until after the degree has been conferred. So we highly suggest setting it for Hold for Degree, because if you don't, it's official, but it's not conferred if you have it sent before the degree conferral happens, and you'd have to re-request it for a lot of places. Something else that some states need is a verification letter, and verifying your internship or verifying that you've completed the degree. This is something that I can do if you fill out the request here at this website. We'll make sure that you have a copy of it so you don't have to remember this link. This I also have to wait until the degree is conferred to send out for you. So you can send it now and I'll hold it for you until the degree posts. But it does take me some time to get them out. So I just have to wait until that degree gets conferred. Anything else, Renee? Oh, this is the information that you'll fill out for me on that request. So I just basically need to know who you are, where you're going, and what you did when you were in the program, what agency and location you did your clinical placement at.
Right. So a lot of times students have a job after graduation and their employer is requesting a transcript and they need to see that the degree is conferred as well. So if you're looking to start your job before that degree conferral happens, just reach out to Adriana or I. We can help connect you with someone in graduate affairs in our college who can provide a letter saying that, we're waiting on that pending degree conferral. So that takes a little bit of time because they can't send it before they've at least verified that you're eligible to have your degree conferred. But that is something that sometimes an employer will accept. That won't work for your licensure request. So if you're looking to, get information for that, you will need that transcript showing the degree has been awarded. But for employers, sometimes they'll take a letter. So it's something to think about.
There are some states, I think Utah is one, Texas might be the other, that allow you to sit for the exam while you're in your final semester. So if that's the case, you can reach out to me directly and I can provide you with a letter prior to your degree conferral. I don't know if Barbara's here. Is she here?
I don't think Barbara's here today, but really I wanted to I'll just speak about Barbara. So this is Barbara Bush. She's your success coach. You are probably seeing emails from her every couple of weeks with lots of tips and strategies for staying on track and being motivated and getting connected to resources here at UCF. And one of the things about having a success coach is that really her role is to help you accomplish whatever goals you have. So if you are thinking about, making some plans and how do I organize things to get towards graduation? How do I make a plan to get all of these things done on top of everything else I'm doing? How do I make a plan for finding a job? Where do I look for things? I have these career aspirations and I'm not sure how to get started with it. Barbara can really help you to identify your goals, break them down into action items, and help keep you on track with those things. So she's really available to you for anything that you think about where you say, gosh, if only this part was better, or if I had a good idea of how I would go about doing this, like my academic stuff would be so much better. I'd, feel so much more confident as a student. Those are things that she can help you with. So, it's part of, her services are part of the fees that you pay to UCF. So, some students really like to take advantage of that and get everything they can out of the money they're investing in their degree. So I really, we encourage you to reach out to Barbara as you're in your last couple of semesters here.
And then connect with us. So for those letters you might need for any forms that you have to fill out, sometimes they're called like education certification or certification of education. Any questions about commencement and licensure, reach out to me. We can both help you with anything and we'll point you in the right direction. But specifically, Renee is collecting the virtual celebration. She's conducting that in the spotlight slides. She can also help with licensure stuff and pretty much anything else you have. If you are a student who is not graduating in the summer, registration information, fingers crossed, comes out this week. I'm still waiting for a bit of information before I send those emails out, but we'll get you those details so that you can register for fall soon. I think that is it.
Yeah. So typically in this session, we try to invite one of our faculty to attend that has their LCSW to share a little bit of insight in their experiences in first getting started after they graduated with their MSW. And being that it's summer and a lot of our faculty are on break, even though we're still going, it was a little tricky to get somebody here today. But I do have a lot of information that I can share based on, just talking to them and also past sessions and things that they've said they definitely wanted students to know. I would think the key takeaways are in regards to licensure. So, some people like get started and they're like, oh, I don't think I want to get licensed right away. I'm going to take my time with that and I'm going to wait to get licensed. And so, the recommendation that we've heard time and again from the various LCSWs that we've had come speak is to not wait on that, to go ahead and get that initial licensure that authorizes you to get that clinical experience that's needed for the LCSW, to do that right away, because you can't go back in time. So you might already be doing the clinical skills that they're looking for as part of your job. And if you wait 6 months or a year down the road before you initiate that process, you can't count any of the time that you've put into that point. So, so being able to kind of look at it and say, okay, how long can I have this? How long can I take to do this? How long do I have if I register for this or sign up for this initial, licensing? And making a plan for how to have that happen, it really does protect you and help you to move forward as quickly as possible. Another piece of advice is to think about if you're thinking about relocating. So every state has different requirements in terms of licensure. They're common, but then there's variances. So they all pretty much want you to have an MSW from a CSWE accredited program, which we are. They'll want you to do some sort of post-graduation supervised clinical practice. So you'll have like a supervisor that you meet with once a week, just the same way you do now in your field placement. So you'll have your job, you'll be working, and you'll meet with someone to do clinical supervision once a week, talk about your cases, and you'll be logging those hours. What varies by state to state is the number of hours and the calendar period of time that need to elapse before you can become an LCSW. So I've seen the gamut of 1,500 to 4,000. And some of that is related to what they count as clinical, what they count in the clinical hours. Some are very specific that it's only psychotherapy, some counted as psychotherapy and other clinical services as well as administrative. So it just varies. So those are things that vary state by state. And then the exam. So there's an ASWB exam. There's a master's level exam that some states require you to take to get that initial, whatever they call their initial licensure, social work associate, LMSW. So there may be an exam that you need to take. In Florida, there's not an MSW level exam. You don't need that when you first graduate. You can begin working as a social worker without that. There's a clinical level exam that you'll need to take to become an LCSW. That's pretty much standard across the country. They vary by state, so you kind of need to sign up for the one for your state. But the time period of when you can sit for that exam varies. So in some states it's 2 years, in some states it's 18 months. So in Florida, you have to wait 18 months after you graduate before you can sit for that exam. So thinking about, if those are the licensure requirements and you're thinking about where you want to get licensed, and maybe you're thinking like, well, I live in Colorado right now, but maybe in a couple of years, I might want to relocate to Virginia. Knowing what the licensure requirements are in both states and documenting your process according to both. So keeping track of, like, especially if one is more stringent than the other, to make sure that you have that. So if you do actually go and relocate, you can prove that you've met their requirements for licensure, because licensing does not just transfer. So in order for them to endorse your license, they're going to want to see that you met the same criteria as they expect in their state. So being able to document that right from the beginning can be very helpful.
Something I wanted to just jump
Yeah.
in, I forgot to mention earlier, save your syllabi. If you haven't done so already, you can go back in web courses and find your old courses and save the syllabus from a particular class. If you can't find one or you're having trouble with it, reach out and we can grab it for you. But it's good to keep that on file because a lot of places will ask for a course description or the course syllabus. So you want to have that so you're not scrambling to find it.
Very good point. And especially the syllabus structure has changed a little bit in UCF since you started. So sometimes students have difficulty accessing them, or they look like they might be blank. So just let us know if you have trouble if you go back to your course and you can't access it, let us know and we can try to track it down for you. So the course syllabi are really important just because every program calls things something different. So, you know, when they say they want you to have a course in a certain topic, you know, UCF might call it one thing and another state might call that something else. So being able to show that like, yes, I've had that course, you know, in that topic. So, so those are really important. And then I would say the other thing that has been mentioned a lot is like practicing self-care. So just really being aware of, you know, kind of setting boundaries and modeling that for your clients and being able to know what things help to recharge your battery so that you're willing, you know, ready to take on the stresses of the day and having a regular plan for doing that. So because it's you know, there's a lot to learn when you're, you know, you're going to graduate, but there's still a lot to learn as you're getting started as a new clinician. And it's a lot of work. And if you're in like a community mental health setting, if you're, you know, working in an agency, you know, there's a lot of need and not a lot of people able to meet those needs, right? So we're always going to be kind of really doing a whole lot and carrying a lot of load. And so being able to practice self-care and, you know, be gentle with ourselves so that we do not burn out before we, you know, get too far along. So, and, you know, this is the type of field where you will be at risk for burnout. So it's important to take good care of yourself. Did I miss anything, Adriana, that you can think of?
No, I don't think I have anything else to add, so we can open it up to you for questions. Feel free to unmute yourselves, come on the camera if you want to, or chat, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have. I apologize.
Hi, my name is Samantha. Can you hear me okay? Hi, so I had a question about, so in the state of Florida, I know it takes 18 months to get your LCSW, but I just wanted to ask, because I was going over this with my supervisor, in order to start gaining those hours towards licensure in Florida, do you have to be an RCSWI? You have to register for that right after you graduate for those hours to count towards licensing?
Yes. So if you live in the state of Florida, after you graduate, you will want to initiate that process to become a registered clinical social work intern in Florida. So in other states, that's like the LMSW or the or a social work associate, but Florida currently that's their terminology for it. So in Florida, to become an LCSW, you need to accrue 1,500 hours of direct psychotherapy practice in no less than 100 weeks, which is 2 years. And you must have at least 100 hours of supervision, which is roughly 1 hour per week. And then you must sit for the ASWB exam, which you cannot take until 18 months after you graduate. And I have had people tell me that they weren't allowed to sit until 18 months after they registered as a clinical social work intern. So, so that's something to double check with the board about when you'll be eligible to sit for that exam.
Okay, thank you so much. That's very helpful.
I really recommend to people, there's a couple things. So in the advising portal, you will find like there's a module about licensure and the process. So you can check there. I would also, you know, checking your state's board, a lot of times they have something. And the NASW, what's nice about them, you know, Adriana mentioned them, but they have people who specifically work with new graduates. So they often have like workshops that kind of walk you through the process of what to expect. Florida has a like new graduate packet on their website. It hasn't been updated, so it's a little bit tricky because the board has a website, an email address that they ask people to send things to, and that's not clear in entirely in that packet. So, but they do have a packet that at least guides you through the process with that. So,
If you're
and then
feeling overwhelmed, reach out to one of us and we can
sure.
definitely guide you to find where you can find that information.
Exactly. So, and we didn't talk about this much, but I will say that it we had scheduled a an exam prep course, and it got postponed. But if you have the opportunity to take one of those, I really encourage you to do that. And the primary reason is because you've learned all the material that you're going to need to pass the a lot of taking these standardized exams is understanding what they're asking for when they're asking certain questions, how to select the right answers, how to rule out wrong answers, and how to pace yourself in order to complete the exam in the time allotted. So I really encourage people to take those exam prep courses so that they can have, you know, a really good idea of what they're expecting, and be, you know, best positioned to pass on the first time.
I just popped into the chat a link to the ASWB website that lets you click on the state that you're interested in, or more than one state where you're planning to pursue licensure, and it'll show you exactly where to go to find those requirements. So it's a good site to start with if you're not really sure what you're looking for.
Hey, I had a question. Since we were talking about the ASWB, what do you think about, I had downloaded the app for that to start studying for the test, on how well that was useful to use. Has anybody mentioned that?
I have not gotten any feedback on that, so I'm not really sure. The other thing too is, you know, sometimes I find that asking your instructor, like if they're an LCSW, asking them like, what did you do to prep for the exam, and you know, did you have experience with this app, that sort of thing. Sometimes they can point you towards, you know, some really good resources that, you know, maybe we don't know about.
I would say we have heard from students who have taken a prep course and said that that was really beneficial. So if you have any in your area, and we have an instructor, a former instructor here who travels around the country and gives them, gives those prep courses, and she's the one who was here but was postponed. We would highly recommend that one.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Brenda, somebody's asking, can you name the app one more time? I believe she's mentioning the ASWB app.
Yeah, it was just the ASWB exam app. And what it does is that you can set it for the date that you anticipate when you're going to graduate. And then it will set the amount of questions every day to go through. So you can do like a few questions, like, you know, 10 questions a day. And then it tells you why you got the question wrong. So it's nice because it does explain that. So I found it very helpful, but I don't know, you know, if it's maybe how helpful it is.
That's really awesome though. Thank you for sharing that with us. Did anybody else have any questions?
Well, we'll stick around for a few more minutes if anybody has any questions, but we'll be sure to send out this presentation and look out for, if you're a fall student, look out for that information about intent to graduate and registration coming soon. And if you walk away from here and you don't remember anything, please feel free to reach out to us.
Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.